Hi guys, happy Thrift Score Thursday. Today I wanted to share two things that I thrifted last weekend and also talk a little bit about my most recent Substack, which went out yesterday. And that's all about how I seek inspiration. So it's kind of all about what I do before I go thrifting. And I get asked all the time, how do you know what stuff is? Or how are you able to sort of see things for what they could be when you're in the thrift store? And I think that is one of the biggest challenges when you go thrifting is being able to see things not just for how they look now, but how they might look in your own home. And a lot of people talk about upcycling, but I think so much of it is just like using your imagination and thinking about how you might style things rather than how you might change them up. So, one really good example is this amazing wooden bench that I thrifted. I got this at a Salvation Army. I think it was 20% off and it was like $95. So I got it for around 75, $80. I'm kind of struggling with how I'm going to show you guys this. I'm probably going to have to take the camera off my tripod here because this is a really good one and I want to show you. So, okay. It was just called like old wooden table. This is a very clearly handmade primitive wood bench. You can see the joints are handmade. It's very rickety. Can't really put a whole lot on it, but the shape is amazing. It's all like hand done. I love how it's a little bit curved at the edges. It's very thin. So you could really use it as a bench, like behind a couch, which is actually how I've been using it. Or you could use it as a coffee table, which I shared some images on. Let me put you back on the tripod. I shared some images on Substack on notes earlier this week of some other styled spaces with like primitive wooden benches. It's very, to me, Amber Interiors. Do you guys follow her? She's a huge interior designer and she does a lot of the like primitive, almost farmhouse, but like in a cool California way. Because I think farmhouse can go either Waco shiplap or it can go like, Santa Barbara casual. And I think a wooden bench like this you can do so much with. But the reason I bring up my newsletter from yesterday is that it's all about how I seek inspiration before I go thrifting. And this bench is something that I probably wouldn't have gotten unless I was someone who used Instagram, Pinterest, and also constantly looked on First Dibs and Cherish. As I write in the newsletter, I am not necessarily shopping frequently on First Dibs and Cherish, although I have shopped on both websites. And I think most of you know by now, I am a Cherish super seller. I'm among the original crop of Cherish super sellers. And I think I've been awarded the designation every year since it's been available to be awarded. So obviously I encourage people to shop on Cherish. It is, for me, that was like a huge part of how I made my sort of secondary income for a long time. But when I go on Cherish and First Dibs, I am looking at their edit. So on First Dibs, they have something called Editor's Picks, which I link to in the newsletter. Cherish, they have their new arrivals page. What's really great about these are not just like all their latest and greatest stuff, organized in the order in which it's gone live. It's organized in the order in which it's curated. So Cherish and First Dibs both have teams of, I don't even know what you call them, merchandisers, I guess, who are sort of culling through all of the new arrivals every single day. And they're picking the ones that will sell. And since I'm a reseller and not everything I buy is for resale, but I do like to keep that in mind when I shop, that's helpful for me because I know, if things are selling. But B, they're picking out those items that are really trendy. And we don't often equate vintage with trends, but everything that we're seeing now has been done before. So going on those sites and specifically to those pages on those sites, I just try to go, like, especially if I'm going thrifting that morning, sit down with my cup of coffee, fire up the old laptop, Cherish new arrivals, just look through them because it's showing the images set against a white backdrop. So unlike an Etsy or an eBay, which can sometimes be hard to navigate because the items are like, sometimes they're shot against really, really busy background. So if you see a table like this, it's like in a room or like someone's feet are next to it or there's stuff on top of the table. With Cherish and First Dibs, it's just the table set against white. And so when you're able to see it clearly you're like, oh, that's really beautiful. And then when you go in the Salvation Army and it's not styled and it's in just a busy area, you can go, okay, that actually looks a lot like the table I saw on First Dibs that was like $2,400 a week ago. Or that looks like the table that I pinned on Pinterest from an Amber Interiors design space. And it probably was something she purchased in like Belgium or something at a flea market. So have a look at that newsletter. Like I said, it came out yesterday. It's all about how I seek inspiration at thrift stores. I think that's just like huge for me. I'll show you another thing that I thrifted that, speaking of trendy, I kind of think squiggle stuff is like on the way out, but I'm also not married to trends. And I just thought this was really fun. It's heavy. That's another tip I have whenever you're thrifting. One way to know if something is at least well constructed, maybe not valuable, but well constructed, is it heavy? If it's a small item, does it have like heft and weight? This signifies that it's made out of a nice material and that it will stand the test of time. I really like the sort of mixed metals. I like the gold and the silver. Obviously, the squiggles are really fun. This would also be really cool if it was just like rusted. Like if all the, I think this is paint, if the paint was removed and it was just like, I don't know, heavily patinaed, I think this could be really neat. I love little sconces and shelves like this because they are very, very useful, especially if you're someone like me who has a bunch of little tchotchkes that you've thrifted. You can throw this on your wall and put one of your little things on top of it. So you could do like a little sculpture. You could put it in the bathroom and do like a candle. Lots of stuff you can do with this. These are also really fun to add to a gallery wall. I write in my first book about gallery walls, but I think the key to a great gallery wall is lots of different sizes and shapes. And one way to sort of mix up the sizes and shapes is to add things that aren't necessarily art, because art is usually a square or a rectangle. So it's fun to add something that's like more triangular or maybe more circular, like a little tiny mirror or something. So I just thought this was kind of a fun piece. But again, this is one of those pieces that, like, when I saw it on the shelf, it was just a jumbled mess. So I sort of took it out and I just put it on the floor and I looked at it on its own. And I was like, you know what? I actually like this. I think I could use this. Possibly I will sell this. But I think that's like kind of a key thing. Certainly, if you guys have questions, feel free to chime in and ask them. One of the hard parts about these lives is that I'm just like talking to myself. So I really appreciate when people ask questions. But I also wanted to mention that on the heels of the post I did yesterday, which is about how to seek inspiration when I go to thrift stores, I am working on a huge, that's actually a great idea. Sorry to backtrack, but this would be such a cute way to display jewelry, to put like a little display stand on it. I have found a lot of display stands at thrift stores and yard sales and things like that, like little mini busts that you can put a necklace on, or like, sometimes there'll be just like a freestanding like woman's neck clavicle area. It almost looks like a sculpture, but it's made to put jewelry on. That's a really great idea. Okay, so Sunday I am coming out with a like behemoth newsletter. This is going to be my hero post. I felt like I needed to do this. Obviously, I wrote an entire book about thrifting. It's called Big Thrift Energy. Certainly, you can purchase it wherever books are sold. And don't want to say too much at this point, but hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe there's more to come on that front. In the meantime, on Sunday, I am coming out with my huge, huge, huge hero post. This will be how to shop at a thrift store. I've already done how to shop at an estate sale. I will do yard sale and auctions eventually. Thrift store is obviously going to be huge. Like I said, I wrote a whole book about it, so I know a lot about it. It's something I do all the time. I want this to be a post that you guys can like bookmark and go to again and again. It's probably something I will update as well. If there's anything specific that you want me to include, I mean, I typically write my newsletters very far ahead of time, so it is predominantly finished. But if there's any specific questions that you guys want to make sure I cover, this will be a free newsletter. Tons of valuable info. Obviously, you can buy my book. That's much appreciated. But this is kind of an extension, an expansion on that. And I just want it to be how I navigate a thrift store, what I bring with me when I go thrifting, what I do before I go thrifting, which is kind of what I covered yesterday, but I'll sort of recover it. Um, the places in the thrift store that I always go to, even if I only have like 5 minutes. I've done a lot of like 15 minutes at Goodwill videos on Instagram. And a lot of times I literally will just go in the thrift store for 15 minutes. So that's, I think it's important to sort of tell you guys how I shop because thrift stores can be really, really overwhelming. But if you know exactly where to go, they can be less so. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of all I've got for today. Just the two things. Super excited for the big post coming out Sunday. And like I said, I have some exciting stuff in the works. And I'm like so excited. This is all fresh and new, and I can't wait to share more with you guys, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. But let's just say it's something exciting, and I'm very excited about it and grateful for all your support. And yeah, look for that new newsletter on Sunday. Thanks, guys. Bye.